Is there actually a monster hiding in Lake Michigan? For centuries, people have sworn there is, and now, thanks to the internet, these insane legends are reaching millions of people. You've definitely seen the clips. Blurry videos of a crazy wake, a giant hump breaking the surface, or a massive shadow gliding right under a boat. They pop up everywhere online, claiming to be some creature nobody can explain. These videos show something huge, something unknown, living just under the waves. So, are these videos finally proof of a real-life monster? Or is it all just clever fakes and simple mistakes? Here's the craziest part. Unlike Scotland's Loch Ness, there isn't one legendary video of the Lake Michigan monster. What we have is a ton of random, confusing clips that just make the mystery even bigger. So the real question isn't just what's in these videos, it's why do we want to believe in them so badly? Today, we're breaking down the most common types of evidence you see online. We're diving into the history of the legend, from ancient myths to modern viral videos, and we're going to figure out what's really going on with the Lake Michigan monster. Long before anyone had an iPhone, the stories were already out there. And to understand today's viral videos, you have to see how deep these roots go. The idea of a monster in Lake Michigan is nothing new. Reports from settlers started popping up in the late 1800s, with newspapers publishing wild stories about a giant lake monster. Back in 1867, people described something that was part fish, part serpent, and up to 100 feet long. They said it had a massive head and a dark, rough back, and that it moved like a giant snake. Sightings of huge eel-like creatures kept trickling in, fueling this legend for over a century. But the legend is even older than that. It goes all the way back to the indigenous peoples of the Great Lakes. Their stories aren't just about a monster. They're about a powerful spirit called Mishipeshu, the underwater panther. This isn't just some local creature. Mishipeshu is a major figure in Anishinaabe traditions. It's described as having the head of a giant cat, the horns of a deer, a long snake-like tail, and a body covered in scales. Mishipeshu was seen as the guardian of the lake's power and its most valuable resource, copper. This thing could create violent storms out of nowhere and lived in the deepest parts of the Great Lakes. It wasn't just a monster. It was a symbol of the lake's raw, untamable power, a force you had to respect. The stories were a warning about how dangerous the lake could be. So, when someone today films a weird shape in the water, they're not just capturing a weird wave. They're plugging into a myth that's been flowing through this area for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. This brings us to the most common type of video you see everywhere, the mysterious humps. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The camera is shaky, filming from a boat or the shore. Far out, a few dark humps break the surface before vanishing. The video is always blurry, you can never tell how far away it is, and it always cuts off before you get a good look. So, what are we looking at? A believer would say, this perfectly matches the old stories of a long, serpent-like monster. The shape doesn't look like a boat, and it seems to move in a natural, rolling way. The distance between the humps could mean it's something way bigger than any known fish in the lake. Is it the legendary beast? Okay, but let's be real for a second. The Great Lakes are enormous, and light and water can play serious tricks on your eyes. One of the most likely suspects for these humps is the lake sturgeon. These things are basically prehistoric fish that live in Lake Michigan. And they get huge. We're talking over 7 feet long and more than 200 pounds. Most importantly, their backs are covered in bony plates, which gives them a ridged, almost reptile-like look. A giant sturgeon swimming near the surface could 100% look like a series of humps. Another, way simpler explanation? Waves. When the wind and currents hit just right, you can get a wave train that creates a line of crests that looks exactly like a solid object moving in the water. From far away, this optical illusion is shockingly convincing. And of course, there's always the chance it's just a big log or some trash floating in a way that makes it look alive. These videos are definitely fun to watch, but they have zero clear detail to be proof. Without a head, a tail, or any real features, the humps are just a cool mystery, and that's it. Next up, we have a totally different kind of video, the giant shadow. These are usually filmed from high up, like from a pier, a cliff, or a drone. The camera looks down into the water and catches a massive, dark shape moving slowly underneath. It always looks impossibly big, much larger than any person or normal fish. It's often long and skinny, matching descriptions of a giant eel or sea serpent. Your first reaction is probably WHOA. The shape seems to be moving on purpose, too clear to be a shadow from a cloud. For believers, this is super compelling. It hints at a giant creature that has somehow stayed hidden from science. And since some modern sightings describe a 30 to 60-foot long monster, these videos seem to be the ultimate proof. But when you really look closer, these clips tell us more about our own eyes than about any monster. Perspective is a huge factor here. When you're filming from above, it's almost impossible to tell how big or how deep something is. Without anything to compare it to, a huge school of fish packed together can easily look like one single solid object. From that high up, thousands of little fish just blur into one giant moving shadow. Another possibility is a giant blob of algae or a cloud of dirt. Under the surface currents can move these things around in a way that looks weirdly alive and coordinated. The shape can shift and stretch, creating the illusion of a living thing swimming below. And of course, we can't forget about good old-fashioned fakes. With today's editing software, creating a convincing shadow monster isn't that hard if you know what you're doing. Faking a creature that's partially hidden by water is way easier than faking one out in the open. These shadow videos are awesome to look at, but they have the same problem as the humps, not enough detail. The shape is always too murky and too hard to identify. It gets your imagination going, but it doesn't give us the proof we need. After looking at all the so-called evidence, it's pretty clear there's no smoking gun. Most of these viral clips are blurry, confusing, and have perfectly normal explanations, whether it's real animals, natural phenomena, or just straight-up hoaxes. So if the evidence is so weak, why is the legend of the Lake Michigan monster more popular than ever? Well, the answer is that the monster has become more than just a mystery. It's part of the culture. And this happens everywhere. In other parts of Michigan, local monster legends are basically celebrities. The Dewey Lake Monster, for example, inspired a boat parade and even has its own beer from a local brewery. These stories give a place a unique identity. The Lake Michigan Monster does the same thing, just on a much bigger scale. It represents the wild, untamed spirit of one of the largest freshwater lakes in the world. In an age where it feels like every inch of the planet has been explored, the idea that something ancient and unknown is still hiding right here is just awesome. It taps into that human need for mystery, for the chance that there's still some magic left in the world. And let's be honest, the legend is amazing for tourism. Just like Nessie in Scotland, the Lake Michigan Monster adds a layer of adventure to the entire area. Every weird wave, every big fish, every log floating by becomes a potential encounter with a legend. The story turns a simple boat trip into a monster hunt. The old stories of Mishipeshu taught respect for the lake's power, while today's monster stories create a sense of wonder and excitement. The videos might not show a real animal, but they absolutely show our deep and insane fascination with the unknown. But I want to know what you think. After all of this, do you think the Lake Michigan Monster is a real, undiscovered creature? Or is it a powerful myth made from folklore, mistaken identity, and a few clever fakes? Let me know what you think in the comments right now. So, what have we learned? We've looked back through time, from the ancient underwater panther to the sensational newspaper headlines of the 1800s. We've torn apart the modern digital evidence, the mysterious humps and the deep, dark shadows. And in every single case, While the idea of a monster is thrilling, the evidence just isn't there. The videos are too blurry, the shapes are too vague, and there are way too many other plausible explanations. Scientifically, there is zero proof of a large, unknown animal living in Lake Michigan. But just because there's no proof doesn't mean the story has no meaning. The legend of the monster lives on because it connects with something deep inside all of us. It's a tribute to the power of folklore and our own imagination. Maybe the mystery isn't what's in the water, but why we can't ever stop looking for it.